So, welcome to the next edition of the Rare Business Podcast. With me today, I have ArnauddeLacoste, who is Acticall Sitel Chief Marketing Officer. How you doing, Arnaud?
I'm good, thank you, Adrian.
Excellent. So, Arnaud, for the benefit of our listeners and readers, can you tell us a little bit about you, a bit about the work you do? Give us a bit of background of some of the stuff that you're doing right now.
Okay, so I'm Arnaud Lacoste. I'm one of the co-founder of Acticall Sitel Group. We founded this company 23 years ago, so it's an old startup, I used to say. we created the company when we were students in the business school, in fact, in France. Mm-hmm. So as you can understand, with my nice French accent, I'm French. And now I'm based in the US, running working as CMO for Acticall Sitel Group. We are one of the biggest provider in terms of in the contact center industry. We are a leader in the customer experience area, managing a lot of activity around contact centers, digital activities, training activities, and so on, all across the world. Just to share with you another of magnitude, we have around 76,000 employees in 22 countries.
Wow. Okay. Very good. So not a rather large startup, we can say.
Yeah.
So anyway, so before this call, Arnaud, we were sort of having a chat, and I know you've got some interesting views on things like data, whether that's big data, small data, soft data, etc., causation, correlation. The use of AI, the impact on insight, and what brands should be doing better to connect with their kind of customers. And that's all stuff that I'm kind of really interested in, because I'm really interested in, service and experience and engagement and all things that help sort of deliver that. So it'd be really useful to start off with if you could explain some of your thinking and position around some of these kind of areas, just so it kind of sets the context for, for us to dive into that.
Yes, sure. In fact, for years, people were used to talk about big data, and it was a kind of buzzword with a true lack of reality in our organization. In fact, I think that right now with AI, we are able to do some very smart thing with data. And I used to say that we have two kinds of data, because behind the word big data, which make a lot of sense for me, it's all those what I call small data or little data, what are only relevant for us. Just let me share with you an example.
Sure.
There's a lot of IoT tools like, I don't know, connected swatch and so on, will give you real time a lot of data about what you are doing. And those data are useful only for you, because, for example, if you use any Nike connected wearable, and you will monitor how you are running, those data are likely really relevant for you. Perhaps you can share it with your friend in order to challenge yourself when you do your different running exercise. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't make any sense for other people. But for Nike, it makes a lot of sense, because it gives to the marketing at Nike many data about how the consumer are using the product, how many times, how often they use it, in which circumstances, and so on. So I think that data in this case became a kind of social currency between the brand and the consumer, and say, okay, I will give you access to a lot of tools to monitor your own activity, and in exchange, you will give me your data, which make a lot of sense for me. Not as you, Arnaud, as an individual, but by gathering all the data of all those guys who are running all together and so on, it makes sense to build marketing clusters and to run a marketing strategy behind that. So I think that we are at a moment where there's so many data with a high power of computing, with a very efficient algorithm, and when you mix everything, it makes a lot of sense for brand now.
Right. Okay. And because the thing that if I can ask you to clarify something, because it sounds like So you're referring to using an example of sort of wearable technology and how there's data in there that's kind of individual is personal to the individual. And are you talking about that's how you're terming kind of small data? Because there's also other folks that are talking about small data, and it's a bit more sort of qualitative and or experiential in nature, i.e. the stuff that we go out and just observe people kind of doing. So can you explain the sort of distinction between that, or is the experiential observational type stuff, or would you include that in that sort of small data sort of envelope as well?
Yes, sure. It could be that also. In fact, what we see with right now, big data powered by AI, is we are really entering what I call the age of context.
Yes.
Where by gathering all the data, brand will be able to push or to better understand at the right moment what happened for the customer. So I think it will drive better way of interact or better interaction between the brand and the customer, because they will be able to collect small, smart, or little data real time in order to do something with it and to offer a real customer experience to their customer.
Okay, and what's your view on things like, because I know that there's all this kind of data and the AI that's being used to the analytical packages and the AI technology that's sitting within that, and on top of that to try and if you like mine for insights. I mean, but I also kind of hear kind of people talking about there's also an issue around the causation and correlation sort of element. So I come from an economics kind of background, and I've seen that historically within sort of economics is that some people get the two things kind of mixed up. They look for relationships, but they don't necessarily understand the nature of the relationships. I mean, is that a risk for marketeers that are using this type of technology and with a view to trying to better engage with their customers? And so what should they be doing to, if you like, manage those risks, as it were?
Sure. I think that we are at the beginning of this new age.
Right.
So it's not mature yet at all. So people are trying things, are testing things. I think that in the next 2 years, we will see some more maturity in the product, more maturity on the way brand will use data and try to really understand the insight and use with high efficiency all those insights. Mm-hmm. Behind that, there's a lot of question about data privacy, security, which are still on the table, which are still pending. We all see all the day long that there's some data leak issue all across the world, and I think it will be a kind of trend that will increase. So, and us as one of our major partner with a lot of Fortune 500 brands across the world, we take a lot of care of protecting the data that we can gather and we can collect from all our interaction with our customers. But it's still a very, very high threat, but for all the industry and for all the brands. And I think tomorrow the customer will have to, probably because customers have the power. So
yes.
If those leaks are too important, there will be a question about, do I really want to share this kind of data with this brand? Because right now, the way it's organized is so easy for us as customer to take advantage of social network like Facebook, Twitter, for free, in fact. But in reality, it's not free. We are giving back a lot of data about the way we are living, the way we are consuming, and so on, to those brands. As one more time, what I call social currency. But perhaps tomorrow, consumer will realize that those data are values. Those data could be used in good way, but also in bad. So I think there will be a kind of global consciousness about that, and perhaps more maturity, and perhaps it will be, the government will build new laws around that, I think, to protect the data, to protect the people, I think.
I mean, do you think? I mean, I think that's a really interesting point. I mean, the idea around sort of data security and privacy and things. I understand the idea about kind of the legislation being put in place to protect kind of people, but do you also think that there's an element where companies will start to understand this, and consumers are starting to their understanding of it is growing, their consciousness of it is growing, but do you not think that?
I agree with you.
Yeah. Do you think there's an element where the companies may end up having to take more responsibility and start figuring out how to, one, they build trust, but also kind of build in a duty of care for some of their customers, and that's how they build the kind of the engagement too?
Yes, I think it could be the direction. We used to cope with the concept of 360 view of the customer.
Yeah.
It's a marketing concept which is totally mature. My bet is in the coming years we will have a kind of reverse system where brands will have to expose what they know to the customer, a kind of 360 views of the data that the brand know for each individual. So if I take example, me, Arnaud, I will be able to ask my favorite airplane company to say, hey guys, you need to expose to me all what you know about me, and I will tell you if I let you use this data, and please remove or clean your database about data. I don't want you to be able to use it. So I think the brand who will understand that will probably lead the game, because it has to be because brand will have to explain how they're going to use the data they collect about us. Because right now it's a kind of black box,
Yes.
All the brands are gathering more and more data. Some are using in a very efficient way. I think, for example, there's an American bank named Capital One, which is one of the largest in the US market. They launched a service a few months ago named Second Look, and when they saw in your balance that something could be wrong in terms of, I don't know, double payment of an invoice, or when you are in a restaurant and you tip the waiter, and at the end the tip is above 20%, it could be 30-40%. You get a notification say, hey, Arnaud, I saw that on your balance. Is it correct, or is it a potential fraud? So I think this kind of service is really a way to say, hey guys, I use all the data I know about you, not in an intent to sell you more, but just to provide you a better service. Yeah. And I think in this case it is very, very interesting. But the more data you give to your employees, the more digital fluent they have to be.
Yes.
For example, Air France, which is a well-known airplane company, they launched a project where they gave tablets, iPad tablets to almost all their employees in the plane and also in the airport. And so now employees, they have a ton of data about each passenger, in fact. And if they do not take care, they can say, and they can expose to you things that we don't want to hear. For example, there's a lot of privacy about your trips and so on. And if the flight attendant just come to you, perhaps it could be at the beginning a good proposal to say, hey, Arnaud, I'm very glad to see you. I can see that last week you were traveling to Dallas. I hope this flight was good. I'm happy to that you be with me today. But I don't want my neighbor in the plane to hear that last week I was in Dallas, or perhaps my boss is here and I don't want him to know that I was in Dallas. So, the respect of privacy is something which is very, very tricky. And I think that a key challenge for all the companies in the coming years is really this way of training our internal employees about the power of data, but also the risk of a non-good use of those data.
Sure. So I mean, I agree with you, Arnaud. So I think about sort of people, and their preferences and stuff. And if we think that, let's say simply, that people's data preferences might split into four different sort of categories. There are, say, on the one hand, there are people that are happy to freely share their data with whoever because they believe that they have nothing to hide and they have an ability to turn things on and off, and so they're very open. And then you have people on the opposite end of the spectrum, which are they're just quite ignorant about the kind of what could be done and what is being doing and the whole data issue. And then there's kind of two groups in the middle, and one is that they're sort of happy to share if they kind of understand what they're sharing for, and then there's also the other people that are sort of they will kind of share freely with kind of certain kind of brands and companies or areas on a conditional basis, on a case by case kind of basis. But my challenge is that I think that and this means no disrespect to people in general, but when I think about what you're talking about, the second look sort of stuff, and I think about maybe the people that don't necessarily understand the technology and the data collection bit, I would sort of make an argument that most of those kind of people, they may be the majority, and actually, if you think about the second look element, it's requiring people to exert effort to kind of clean and or choose their data. And I think, do you not think there's possibly, what's the word? There's going to be a potential need and or requirement for companies to go further and to look after those customers, even though they might give them the opportunity to clean it, but they might not necessarily know enough to be able to do it or want to do it as well.
You're right. I think your four categories are very accurate. I think a big thing that's gonna happen in the coming years is really this question of training, because everyone has to be trained in order to be able to live in this new world, database world. So it's I think it's beginning from school, where at school we should train our kids to, and I think it's already partially done, but around the risk and the opportunity behind social networks.
Yes.
Say, hey, take care when you post something on Facebook or on Snapchat. It could have consequences. And the same thing for after all our life, in fact. So I think that the more people will be mature, the better it would be. But I agree with you. You have some people who really understand the data, really understand how brands are using it, and you have a lot of people who are too optimistic or too pessimistic about the data and say, I don't want or I don't care. And I think in both ways it could be dangerous, because people who say, there's a group of people and there's a lot of journalists, startup leader who really, and especially in the Silicon Valley, who really think that we are in an age where privacy doesn't make any sense anymore. The war is over. We do not have any more privacy, and we need to cope with this new world with no privacy. Yeah. I strongly believe that we are not. It still belongs to us to decide where we want to put the cursor between full open data or full closed data about what we are able to expose. For me, we are still we could be still master of our own image, but we need to be trained. We need to understand, but I agree with you. Some people they even don't understand. They don't have the capability. But it's up to the brand to build smart interface and to be able to expose those data in an understandable way for the brand, in fact.
Sure.
For the customers. And the second look initiative from Cap One is very, very easy to understand, because it's in-app, so you just have to say correct or incorrect, and that's all. So if if the double invoice is correct, because you buy you bought 2 times the same product at 5 minutes different time, and you say correct, it's over. But if you say incorrect, then it opens a new tab where you're gonna enter in the fraud form. So I think it's up to the brand to really build smart interface, mobile based.
Yes.
In order to let the client, to expose the data to the client and to let them take the decision.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think you're right. Is that it's like a new area. It's a new area. It's a new era of sort of context and kind of data and things. And there's a lot to learn, and we're right at the edge of our maturity on this. But I'm sure, Arnaud, that you're probably working with some people that are making great strides in this new area and sort of kind of doing stuff and learning fast and things. So could you give me maybe say a couple examples of companies or brands that you're sort of working with, but you also believe that they're getting it right, and sort of more detail about what they're doing and what sort of results they're seeing, because that I think would just kind of shine a light on some good practice.
So I really expose the business case I love about Capron. I think that a good example that we can have in the marketplace is what's happened with United after the big crisis.
Okay.
So if you remember this crisis around this guy which was taking off the plane because the plane was overbooked. And I think, you know, if you remember the reaction of the CEO, Carlos Munoz, a few days after this crisis.
Uh-huh.
And I think the way the brand reacts is probably a real good business case over the industry. Because first thing, he say, okay, we did a big mistake, we failed, but my guys, they respect the procedure. And you know what? The procedure was not respecting our values.
Yes.
So when prefects are taking over the values, it's that your company is in danger. So we will realign all our prefects to be totally aligned to the values. So I think that this first statement is very, very tough and very strong. And the second thing that he said, say, now when you will have to be rebooking another flight because of overbooking of this flight, we will pay you not $500, not $1,000, but we will pay you $10,000, which is above all the standards of the industry. And probably, and my take is to say, if it really happens, all the other companies of the world will have to do the same shift and probably raise their amount also. And probably in the coming years, 10K will be the average amount of money that you need to pay when you want to change one of your passengers from one flight to another flight.
Sure.
And the last decision he take in this statement was to say, I want my people, my guys in the field to be able to fix issues as close as they happen, so close to you, my dear customers. Mm-hmm. And then he launched a project where he will implement iPads everywhere and train people to use those iPads and give them the autonomy to fix issues, to give them financial compensation and so on, with no escalation. To say you are in the airport, you have an issue, the guy which is in front of you needs to be free to let you and to give you a lot of things in order to try to fix your problem as soon as possible before it goes to being escalated and before it goes to the nightmare that we all know between I call the contact center and then they ask me to call the claim center and then it goes, you receive an email and then no one responds to you again and so on. So we are all at to face this kind of nightmare, but I think United build this kind of tools showing that now it's a really customer-centric company. So I don't know how this plan will be achieved if it will be achieved with efficiency and if it will really become a reality. But I think that it's coming from the CEO. It was a very strong message, and probably it will be it could be a big shift in this airline industry.
Excellent. I mean, and we were talking also about. I mean, I think it's a good example. I mean, I wrote something about that after I also kind of experienced sort of denied boarding, but with another airline. And the thing that it made me think about was the idea that we don't really understand how good our service or our experience is until until the extreme cases kind of happen. And that was for me. That was one of the biggest lessons, is that we don't really we think our processes and our systems kind of work until we actually kind of but we don't really know how well they work until these extreme cases kind of happen. And I think that's the big lesson for them. And if they're responding in that sort of fashion, then that that's great.
I agree with you.
So, but in terms of we're talking about kind of data, marketeers and using kind of data in order to build kind of better engagement. I mean, do you have an example that you like about a brand that's using kind of data in a really sort of smart way and sort of building the relationships that you could share with us, that you think actually I think they're good and I think they're sort of leading the way?
There's a couple of utilities in France, for example, in the electricity utilities, who build some very smart program by exposing to their client how to better use their electricity in order to reduce their invoice, based on really understanding the way people were using electricity at home, and provide them some really custom insight based on their family consumption of electricity. And it was really a mix between billions of data coming from the electricity carrier, merged with some data that they gather about the profile of the client, his family structure, a lot of personal data that they gather on by using Facebook profile and so on.
Right.
And the dashboard that they provide to the client were very, very helpful, because the intent was to help me reduce your bill and do a smart move for the planet. So I think it was really a good initiative of using all those data in a purpose to really help their client to spend less. So and it was linked to all the CRM platforms, so to say, with a lot of proactive activities. Say, hey guys, we identify that your consumption is higher right now. Is there a mistake? Is there something wrong with you with your equipment? Or so it was a mix between profiling, custom advice, and also alerts.
Okay.
And I think it's really a smart way. Another experience that I had a few days ago is with FPL, the Florida electricity company.
Mm-hmm.
They have a very, in Florida we had this big hurricane, Irma, which just came, and almost 1/3 of the Florida was out of power for a couple of days. And FPL developed a very simple app, and in 2 clicks, you are able to say, I'm out of power, and they provide you real-time alert on when they're going to restore it. Almost every 3 or 4 hours, I was getting proactivity alert from them saying, we are close to your house, probably in the coming hours, power will be back. So I think it's a good way to inform real time what they are doing in a kind of crisis plan, because it was so probably the biggest crisis that this company had in terms of number of people without power.
Yeah.
And I think they manage that with a lot of efficiency.
Excellent. So, I mean, Arnaud, so with all of this sort of stuff and this changing environment and all this stuff, and I mean, you guys are right in the kind of the thick of it. So, my next question is around. So, what do you think are the big lessons that you have learned over the last, if you like, kind of couple of years, as the kind of the world is changing? particularly with respect to what do you think that most marketeers or customer experience professionals and leaders, what should they be doing kind of more of, or what should they be doing kind of differently in order to kind of to progress their experience and service and to better serve their people and their customers?
I think that the best advice that I can share probably is to say we are all talking all day long about technology. Could be big data, could be AI. But right now, I think humans matter even more. And the more you invest in technology, the more you have to, in the same time, to invest in humans. Because right now, all the people who say, you know what, contact center industry will be dead in the coming years because AI is coming and we will have, it's the age of the smart machine and so on. And my vision is totally opposite of that. All what we see with AI program is it's not at an efficiency level which we can replace human. We are really at the age of collaboration between human and machine, I think, and in the, let's say, 2-5 years, it's really that which will be key, a real collaboration between human and machine, and the question would be how can we empower our human or enhance our people by using smart machine like AI powered tools. Okay. So my point is really to say it's really good to think and to invest in technology, but brands don't have to forget that in the same time they need to invest in the human. They need to train them in order to be relevant in this age of collaboration between agent and agents.
Perfect. I think that's great advice. So Arnaud, before I ask you my final couple of questions, I just wanted to say: is there anything else that you'd like to add on kind of some of the stuff that we've talked about that you think we've kind of missed out before I ask you my 2 final questions that I always ask at the end of these interviews?
No, I think we cover a lot of things. My point, probably we do not talk a lot about AI because it's really also a buzzword right now in the industry. Yeah. My point is really that brand has to really think about it and get serious about AI because it will be a big thing. Yes. But do not trust all the brands who right now overpromise with AI because there's a lot of confusion in the market. I think we are entering in this age of deception because NLP technology are not yet 100% accurate. Because when we talk about AI, the key word behind AI should be accuracy. And the main question that we should ask to any brand who want to launch an AI project is your AI project will require a high level accuracy. In this case, you need to be really, really careful with your expectation. Yes. Or if your expectation is low accuracy, in this case you can run and launch AI project because right now AI is working quite well for low accuracy project, but it's very, very hard to implement if your bet is to reach more than 95% accuracy in what you ask the machine to do. Sure. So I just wrote a book in French. It will be translated in English by the end of this year about how AI can change the customer experience area. And my conviction is right now it's really a tool to provide better human impact. It's not a tool to destroy job. It's a tool to enhance us in fact.
And what's the name of what will be the translated name of the book, Arnaud?
The book in French is Le Seigneur des Robots, Lord of the Bots. In fact, if we translate it in English. So it has been just published in France last week, and the translation in English is in progress, and I think we will be able to launch the book in the English-speaking market early December.
Well, I will I'll make sure that we get that we'll point people in the right direction for that. But congratulations on writing the book. And that actually is a brilliant segue, because it brings me to my kind of penultimate question, because it's related to my own book that I wrote that came out last year, and it was called How to Wow. And what I've been doing ever since it was published is, for every interview I've been doing, I've been asking for the people I've been speaking to for their perspective on what wow service or wow experience is to them. And so, Arnaud, I'd be interested to get your take on what wow service or wow experience is to you.
I think that the key word which resonates with wow is proactivity.
Yeah.
Right now, if you want to delight your customer, reactivity is not enough. You need to be proactive. Yeah. So, and behind this word of proactivity, we look with our first question, I think, about you need to be careful with the kind of data you use to be proactive, because proactivity means you understand your client, you understand his context, and it could be very efficient, or it could be a disaster, in fact.
Yes, indeed.
So being proactive for a brand is something which is very tricky, but the brand who's going to lead the game tomorrow, for me, will be the brand who really understand who are the customer, where are they, when are they consuming, and what could be the right moment to get in touch with them. So proactivity is probably my key word.
Fantastic, thank you. And by the way, I completely agree with reactive is not good enough, and proactivity is the way forward. Couldn't agree more with that idea. So Arnaud, that brings me to my final question that I always ask at the end of these interviews, and the question is this: is there anything that you would like to shamelessly plug?
I think that what can I add is 2 years ago, a little bit more than 2 years ago, we bought Sitel, building this group, large BPO group leading this industry. Right now, we are working in the new age of this company, working on because one more time, customer care only is not enough to be efficient in the market. You need to add capabilities. So we are working on a new vision for our group, of our industry, based on BPO as a platform, in fact, and to say to our clients, we are able to connect you to all the different ecosystems with our own capabilities, like our training subsidiaries, our digital subsidiary, but also with all our partnership. We are strong partner with Facebook, Twitter, and so on, but also with a lot of full ecosystem of startups all across the world. More than 200 startups we partner with in order to provide to our customer the best tool which are relevant for the industry. So I truly believe that as a provider in this industry, we need to be seen now as a big API where my client can connect to get the best of the ecosystem. Could be technical, but not only. It could be human ecosystem, could be platform ecosystem, or audience platform ecosystem, and so on.
Arnaud, I shall make sure first of all, thank you for that. I will make sure that when I do write up the highlights, I make sure I point people in the direction of Acticall, Sitel, and the great work that you're doing over there, and particularly in this next part of your journey, as you can go forward in this exciting new sort of technology kind of heavy world, but then that also understands, as you say, that humans we should be investing just as much in our humans as we are in our technology. But I just want to say thank you for your time today. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for sharing your experience. That's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Bye.